I'm all for automations. I'm all for softwares. I'm all for the things that are going to help us be efficient and save us time. And I think the pursuit of that has taken the human touch out of a lot of what we do.
For sure.
And so if you notice, all the things I'm talking about are things like that you have control over, that you can physically do, yet most won't because they lack the discipline to do it.
Welcome to Jobbers Masters of Home Service, a podcast for home service pros by home service pros. We are in sunny Las Vegas, and today we are talking about the 12 daily habits of a multi-million-dollar business owner. I'm Adam Sylvester. Today's guest is Tom Reber. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you making the time for this, and I'm fired up.
Good,
Let's
me
get
too.
after it, man. Let's help some people.
Tom, tell our audience a little bit about you, your company, and what you guys do.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm founder of the Contractor Fight. We're on a mission to bring respect and dignity back to the trades, and we do that through all our content and programs and events, and trying to help level things up. You know, a lot of good men and women in the industry that are underachieving because they just don't know what they don't know, and that's why we're here.
Tom, what are the daily habits that our listeners need to implement to build a more successful business? What do you think?
It's not ice baths in the morning. So
I'm so glad you said that.
You want to do that and knock yourself out. But yeah, I think people have been making a lot of money long before ice baths were a thing, right? And 4 a.m. workouts and this and that. One of our values in the Contractor Fight is simplicity. Try to keep things really simple. And so we have 3 main areas that we encourage people to develop strong habits in. And however many you have under each of these areas is on you, right? We call this our FW day, okay? So it's the habits of the FW day. FW stands for effing winner. Okay, that's Contractor Fight speak for A player, okay? So like elite type performer, whatever you want to call it, we call them FWs. The FW day consists of 3 areas. The first is a personal activity, and we encourage you to do 2 things under that, okay? Get oxygen, whatever that means to you, right? If you want to get up and do the ice bath, get up and do the ice bath. For me, getting oxygen is I wake up, I like to read, I like to feed my brain some good stuff. Getting sleep is important, working out, moving your body, go for a walk. I don't care what it is, you have to take care of yourself. Okay. Success is an inside-out game. And we believe it's a strong you, a strong home, and then a strong business in that order.
Usually the first thing that goes with business owners is me.
Yeah, so, you know, I've spent years stealing from my family, and it started with stealing from myself. I mean, how many contractors are working their tails up, but they've given up their habits or their hobbies, right? They don't work out anymore. They don't go fishing. They don't go to the gun range or whatever their thing is. They blow it off all in the name of providing for their family, and in the process, they end up hurting their family unintentionally because they're not taking care of themselves. Like, there was a period of time that I was like getting way overweight. I was out of shape, drinking way too much. You know, I remember turning around in my truck and I could barely turn around without pulling a muscle. I mean, that's pathetic, right? We're not designed to live that way. And it's not selfish for you to take care of yourself. So the personal activities, first thing is get oxygen. And the second one, again, I told you this is simple. Just put your eyes on your goals once a day. I don't care where you look at them, how you do them, how many minutes, doesn't matter. That's on you, right? I'm not mandating like how much time anybody does any of this stuff, but just the habit of I take care of me and I look at where I want to go. We spend so much time focused on where we're not or the problems that we have or the issues or the circumstances that are hitting us in the business. And sadly, well, the reality is we get more of what we focus on. And if we're not intentionally focusing on where we want to go, we're going to have a hard time getting there because we're consumed with the guys didn't show up. We didn't hit our sales goal. You know, we ran on this issue on this project. You know, I'm trying to get the phone to ring. It's easy to see all the things that we want to make better. And we give those things our attention. And I've just personally found the more that I look at where I want to go, the faster I get there.
And those could be quarterly goals, it could be yearly goals. You don't care as long as they have goals for the time period that they're looking.
Yeah, if you want to build a dream house somewhere, right? You know, with 5 acres overlooking the mountains, and read that every day. I have a thing on my phone. I call it my standard. How I put my focus every day. I have some affirmations on there. I have a little reminder to remind myself who I am, you know, and what I'm here to do. And it's a personal type phrase for me that means something. I have a list of all the things that I'm shooting for that I want to accomplish. I have a never do it again list. that's on there that my coach taught me. He's like, you should, everyone has a, I want to do this. How about I never do it again?
Yeah.
And I revisit that every morning as well. So I'm just starting my day, with, reading some good stuff, putting some good things in my head, getting the oxygen and, moving my body, whatever you want to call it. So that's the first activity, is a personal activity of the FW day. The second we call a pipeline activity, all right, which is a prospecting or a hunting activity. Do something to build your pipeline.
Okay.
Pet peeve of mine is that, listen, if you're a salesperson, and by the way, if you own a business, you're a salesperson, okay?
Right.
So it blows my mind how little focus, intensity, consistency, whatever you want to call it, that the average contractor has when it comes to filling their own pipeline. They hire the marketing agency, which is great. I'm all for running ads and doing things, billboards, truck signs, whatever, but you can't just rely on those things. What do you have control over? Can you call a past customer? Can you do what we call a warranty call? Hey, Bill, it's Tom. We restained your deck last year, right? Your warranty is up in a month. I'd like to set up your warranty call. What's that, Tom? Well, we come out and we put eyes on it and make sure that everything's looking good so nothing becomes your problem. It remains our problem.
Okay.
Nobody nobody seeks out warranty work. We do.
Okay.
Because it's uncommon. You got to be uncommon. So that's a pipeline activity. Now I'm standing back in the yard, having a conversation. 99 of 100 times, nothing's wrong. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'd tell our guys to find something, right? Just find something. Like, oh, this windowsill looks like it's going to start peeling in a couple of months or something. So I'll sand it down and repaint it, right? Now the law of reciprocity kicks in. Okay, you're standing there. They're reminded of why they like you, why they hired you. You're not running from warranty work. You're uncommon. Mm-hmm. And what we found in my companies is about 38% of the warranty calls that we physically did, on 38% of those, you would hear, hey, Adam, while you're here, we were thinking about this. Mm-hmm. And it's more work.
Yep.
Okay, so that pipeline activity doesn't have to be prospecting for cold business, cold traffic, cold people, right? It can. Pipeline activity could be something along the lines of creating content, right? To get more eyeballs on your brand. There's so many things that we have control over that we're not relying on our marketing agencies and the Google gods and all those other things to, fill our pipeline.
Yeah. So every day our listeners should be doing something to get new clients or get more work, I should say, from potentially existing clients every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like what I do personally in the fight is I call all of our members throughout the year. I pick the phone up, like hundreds of people, and just go, hey, I just wanted to see how it's going. Hey, you came to our event last year. I appreciate you coming. What have you implemented since then? It just shows that you care. And I think we're in such a weird place where I'm all for automations. I'm all for softwares. I'm all for the things that are going to help us be efficient and save us time. And I think the pursuit of that has taken the human touch out of a lot of what we do.
For sure.
And so if you notice, all the things I'm talking about are things like that you have control over, that you can physically do, yet most won't because they lack the discipline to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I want people's phones to ring, not buzz. People get tired of the buzz, but if the phone rings and there's somebody on the other end, you or me, talking to them, I think that's a whole different touch. What are the other habits?
So you got the personal activity, you got the pipeline activity,
yes.
And then the final one, notice we did all P's here, is a profit activity.
What's that?
All right. So profit activity could be something as simple as job costing a project. Okay. If you job cost, you got information, right? You can just debrief the project. That is a profit activity. You can train your team. You can jump on a sales role play call. You can pre-job cost a project. Okay. So we actually teach people how to pre and post job costs. Like before you hit send, before you spit out the price, you got to run it through the scenario.
Okay.
And go, hey, this is, if I price it at this, what's the orange juice going to look like on the other end of the squeeze here?
Yeah.
And is it worth it?
I would say an inexperienced business owner just hopes and prays the job coming up is profitable. An experienced, mature business owner knows how profitable it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm going to butcher this here. Sun Tzu, I think he said something like, win the battles that you don't fight.
Yes.
Whatever it is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I always butcher these quotes, man, but you get the point. Like that's what pre-job costing is. Like, let's not engage in a battle that we're not sure we can win. And I don't mean to be combative with our clients. I'm just saying, like, it's showtime. It's game time. You don't play a game that you're not sure you're going to win. And sadly, most contractors, especially when we're younger, we don't know our numbers. We don't know how to sell. We don't know how to market. We're just throwing crap against the wall and hoping it works. Sadly, in my case, it cost me a lot of money through the years, right?
Yeah.
And, so profit activity, it could be, like I said, training your team. It could be having a tough conversation with an employee or a customer, right? Like, Adam, I know we're working on your house here. You're probably going to hate me, but I totally dropped the ball on this, and I didn't communicate with you X, Y, Z. We need to call a timeout and figure out how we're going to handle this. I mean, you ever had a situation like that where you just missed it somehow, right?
It, now it's,
and then what do you do? You avoid it, hoping it'll work itself out, and it rarely ever does. So get in the habit of having tough conversations. You have an employee that's not kicking butt like they used to. That's a profit activity. I had a guy worked for me years ago. We'll call him Carlos. I'm like, hey, Carlos, listen, man, you got a minute? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, he's one of our crew leaders. I said, you're not yourself lately. Now, I wasn't ripping him a new one. And that's what a lot of us do, right? I'm 54. I grew up with my dad was a construction guy, a screamer.
Yep.
That was the typical job site for my generation, was like, the rough, tough guys throwing a hammer at you from across a job site and stuff. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, again, learning to be a good communicator, going to people where they're at. What's going on in this guy's life? Carlos, you're not yourself, man. What's up? What do you mean I'm not myself? That's what he said to me. I said, well, the last 3 jobs you did have been over budget, and you never are over budget on a project, man.
What's up?
What's up? What do you need from me, man? That's a profit activity because you're protecting your profit. And we don't do enough, to protect profit in the trades. Profit is a good word. A lot of people think it's a bad word. And let me say this on profit. You get paid as an owner, your owner's salary, for what you do in the business. Your profit distributions are the reward for running the business well and in the return on your investment. They're 2 separate things. So if you're pulling money out of the business in distributions, taking $100,000 a year in distributions on top of whatever you pay yourself, your salary is not net profit, is my whole point here. A lot of guys are lumping them together. So what would you be paying somebody to do everything you do in your company right now? What would you have to pay that person? That should be your salary, right? And then you get profit as an owner, and a lot of people think profit's a bad word. Oh, I want to be fair to my employees or I want to be fair to my customers. I hear that a lot. Well, you know what's fair to your customers? Being in business long enough to be there for them. So they don't have to find a new plumber every time something goes wrong. They got their guy, right? They don't need a new painter. It's stressful. No, listen, secret here. Here's a total secret.
Secret time.
Contractors don't answer their damn phone. Okay? Right. They don't return calls. They're terrible communicators as a whole. Okay? Just own it, you guys, and fix it. All right? So me as a consumer, because I hire contractors too, I love when I have my guy or my company. That box is checked. Okay? And I understand that they can't stay in business to serve me for the long haul and serve the people I refer and all this if they're not making a profit.
Right.
I want my contractor pulling up in a new truck. I want him pulling up in a Mercedes. I do. A lot of guys have head trash. They're like, oh, I don't want to drive too nice of a truck. I'm like, you're going to pull up like Chuck in the truck with a total beater like I started my business. I had a Ford Econoline, like F350 or whatever it was. We ripped the seats out, built shelving, was like blue and paneling van. I bought it for $1,500 from my uncle, and he threw in a 24-foot ladder, and I was in business. Right. Torn seats and all. I felt like crap pulling up to somebody's house.
For those of listeners listening who have head trash on that, the first thing that clients think when you drive up in a nice vehicle is not, oh my gosh, they must charge so much.
Right.
The first thing they think is, wow, that's a nice vehicle.
Yeah.
That's all they think.
Right. Like, and again, I mean, you go to an attorney, right? I want my attorney to make money because that means he's good. I want my contractor to make money. I want him living in a big house. I want his people paid well, because happy people produce better work. I want somebody who can afford to build his company and give them benefits and these things because it gives people a career. And there's safety in this as a consumer as well.
Yeah. Tom, we're going to take a quick break from the conversation to talk about jobber Why do you think it's important for our listeners to use a CRM like Jobber to run their business?
Well, listen, we're contractors and we're in the tool business. This is a tool to help you be more efficient. I mean, you I don't know if you're old enough, but I remember when roofers didn't have, nail guns, right? And now they got them. And so a tool like Jobber, I think, is great because it helps you meet customer expectations, helps you communicate better, helps you keep track of some stuff. And these are all areas that most people complain about contractors. Like you say, what do you hate about contractors? They don't communicate well. They don't answer their phone. They don't get back to me. I never know what's going on. And Jobber is a tool to help you do those things and provide a better experience for your clients.
From the request, which is the lead, to quoting, to the job, to invoicing, to payment, to getting a 5-star review, it's all in Jobber. And so I would strongly recommend our listeners get Jobber. If you want to try Jobber today, new users can get an exclusive discount at jobber.com/podcast deal. And it brings all the things that you need to be doing into one software, and it's easy to use. Go get Jobber today. So the third habit is profit.
Yep.
Are there any other habits that you've got there? Because I want to talk about what to avoid. What habits or what bad habits should our business owners avoid if they want to build a multi-million-dollar business?
Listen, the reason I do the categories is because I don't want to be the habit dictator with people, right?
Sure,
you got to find your groove. So like I mentioned, getting oxygen for me, I don't work out first thing in the morning like a lot of the gurus tell you to do, right?
Yeah.
I work out around late morning to midday because by then my hips and my shoulders are a little warmed up and stuff, and then I feel better, right? It's just, whatever. Personal, pipeline, and profit. Habits not to focus on. I think that's where tracking comes in. Okay.
Tell me more about that.
How am I using my time and what are the results that I'm getting? Right. So here's a very recent example. This past quarter in our company, I had a theory.
Theories are always great.
Yeah. And because I didn't want to be too disruptive to my company, I put this on my plate. We're already getting tens of thousands of views and follows and all this other stuff with the content that we're doing, because content can be a habit. One of my daily habits is creating content, right? It's a pipeline and profit activity. So I'm like, well, what if we 10x'd the amount of content we were putting out?
Okay.
What would happen? And so we tested it for a whole quarter, and it about killed me.
Wow.
I was averaging 140 posts a week.
Whoa.
Personally with these thumbs. Okay. I have a team and I'm like, I got this. I'll show you guys how it's done. Right?
I'm Superman Tom. Yeah.
In fact, the top week I had 166 posts.
It's so many.
But every week we tracked it, and every week in our company meeting, everyone in my company, we all have our metrics and things that, like those customer touches I told you about. We have a goal for those of how many I send personally per week. We're tracking this thing, and one of our other big, and every business has different metrics, but I'm just using this as the example. Figure out what yours are. One of ours is our email list growing. Okay, just the nature of our business. Somebody sees some content, they're like, oh, it's kind of cool, and they opt in to get something, and then 3 months later or whatever down the road, they become a customer. Okay, on average. So I'm like, man, if I 10x the content, it's going to 10x the subscribers.
Yeah.
Right? The subscribers went down in the quarter.
Wow.
And that was the trend. And I don't know if it was the time of year. I don't know if it was this crappy content on my part. I don't know what it was. But the point is, so this was a habit. We're still doing content, but the amount of habit, the amount of content, we let the data tell us if this is worth the squeeze. I use that phrase a lot. Is the juice worth the squeeze? A lot of times we do things that don't matter in a business. We got the ladder leaned down against the wrong wall and we're climbing the thing.
Right.
That's a problem. I always strive to ask better questions. I try to develop habits. Like a great question that I've always asked myself is, if I were only allowed to work 2 hours a week on my business, how would I spend that time? And that will often reveal what type of activities and habits I need to create.
That's a great question. So I'm curious, piggybacking on that, what are some of the common mistakes you see entrepreneurs make in their quest to become more habit-driven and less reactive in life? What are the mistakes they make?
They don't start with clarity. I think the two most important words in success in anything are clarity and consistency. You got to know exactly what you want and what you don't want. Get clear on that, and then be consistent in the actions that you have control over to get there. That's the simplified version. I think so people don't have the clarity around what they really want. The other thing is they take on too many habits, right?
Distractions.
Too many distractions. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm do like 18 different new habits.
Sure.
And that's rarely helpful.
Yeah.
Because you just get burned out. You struggle with consistency. You don't build momentum, and they end up tapping out at some point.
Clarity is your safeguard against distractions. I like what you said. The 2-hour rule is a really good tool to use. Like, what would I focus on? What are some other common distractions in our trade industry that you've seen business owners just shiny object syndrome, if you will?
Yeah, you ever been up at like 11 o'clock at night and you're working on something in your business, and then you see something for like, hey, get more leads with this, and then you click a button, and the next thing you know, you're like giving a credit card number and you're opting into something. Now you got a recurring payment going and stuff because you took the bait on social. There's things like that. I think one of the biggest things that we get distracted on, though, totally out of left field here, but I see it all the time, is our sales process. You should not be going to see everybody that calls your company. That is a huge distraction.
So some bad clients or bad prospects are distractions.
So you need to have a process. Ours is called Shin Fu. It's our sales process. It's a pre-qual thing that we use. And we basically cut your estimating time in half, and we increase what you make.
Okay.
Because not everyone is your customer. And before you jump your tail in your truck, sit in traffic, pay tolls, pay for gas, get to the yard, stand in the yard and tell them how great you are and all the reasons you think they should hire you. And then you hit send and they go, okay, we're going to have to think about it, and all this other garbage. We used to do surveys of contractors many years ago in our sales training program. And at the time, across all industries, I'm talking painters, pond guys, you name it, right? Flooring. It was about 4 hours on average that the average contractor was spending per lead. Okay, when you add drive time, and there's somebody listening to this right now that's going to text you guys and go, shouldn't take you 4 hours. I'm talking like follow-up time. I'm talking you go home and you're like typing crap up, negotiating against yourself for 4 hours before you hit send, and all these different things combined. You end up spending. This is why people can't work on their business. This is why you say take some time to job cost, take some time to train your people, and they're overwhelmed. They're like, I don't have time. It's because you're meeting too many prospects that are not a good fit for you.
Right. So
you need to learn how to weed them out in a 10 to 15 minute phone call before you send anybody out there. And you do that, you immediately make more money.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So the typical contractor sales process is a massive distraction.
If Masters of Home Service has been a game changer for you and your business, then we want to hear from you. Go leave us a review and tell us what you think. Help us build this community and level up together. We're talking about building habits for multi-million-dollar business. One habit I think you're a big fan is pre-qualifying, which is what we just talked about. Let's give us a little bit of insight on how you pre-qualify those prospects so that you don't waste 4 hours per.
Somebody calls company. We have a 5-step process. The first is the motive. Okay. What are their reasons for doing the project? When you understand the motive, the rest of the process is simple, but it's the motive, the money. Step 3, we call the truth. Step 4 is the influencers, like who else is excited to do this. So you don't I got to talk to my CPA and see if it's okay to spend $700 painting a room. Okay. I've had that before. And then the last is we call the BS meter. It's a consultation fee. Okay. So the key to this whole thing is the spirit of the conversation. You got to come out with gratitude. This is a phone call. So if I call you back after you fill out a form or you call the company, that first initial conversation is basically the whole goal of this pre-qual is, should we go on a date? Think like a dating app. You're swiping left and right. She's cute. He's ugly. This and that. Yeah. And then, kind of cute. You DM them. You have a little back and forth. And then you decide if you're going to meet in person. That's what this is. It's basically, let's get on the same page with what's important to you, about what it's going to cost. If I get out there and what I told you it's going to cost is going to change, that's step 3, the truth. Because you don't want to go out there, they're thinking 10 grand, and then you're like, oh, it's 15. Now you're the typical slimy salesperson that bait and switched them. Okay. Starts with that gratitude. Hey, Joe, I really appreciate you calling. Are you cool if I ask you a few questions just to make sure if we can even help you? And we teach you how to ask the right questions with curiosity, the right tonality, the spirit of the conversation, empathy. You are going to truly uncover what's important to them. It's not the paint job. There's the old saying that you don't buy a drill bit because you want a drill bit. You want the hole, right?
Yeah.
Well, you really don't want the hole. You want what's going to go on the wall to be, and it might be priceless to you because your daughter drew you this picture and you want to display it in the home. There's a huge emotional connection to that thing.
Yeah.
So one of the funniest stories of motive here that help people understand this, I was talking to this woman many years ago for this project. And I said, hey, what's the worst thing that can happen on this project? You know, whoever you hire, what's the worst that can happen? And she, without hesitation, goes, wake up my babies and I'll kill you all. And I said, tell me more about that, right? Long story short, she never slept because her kids never slept at night. They were like 3 months old. She hadn't slept in like 3 months. And the only time they fell asleep was between like 12:30 or 1 and 2:30 in the afternoon, somewhere in that window for like 90 minutes, like clockwork. So again, this conversation we're having, and I said, call her Julie. I said, Julie, let me ask you a question. What would happen if we just pushed our start time back 90 minutes, which would push our lunch break back, which would, during lunch, I know there's the park down the road. We'll just have the crew go down there for lunch. They'll take an hour and a half lunch, whatever it is. And I priced for it, right? I just worked it in. And when your kids wake up, just text crew leader and they'll come back and
finish up.
There's no issue. She's like, you would do that? I said, in a heartbeat. She's like, the job's yours. And I sold it for like 4 times the amount of the other guys that she was talking to because I understood her motive.
Yeah.
That is a habit right there, like role playing, motive, understanding, being a communicator. You nail that as a business owner. I can take this process. I could sell shoes, bathrooms, websites, cars, haircuts. I don't care what it is. You tap into the reasons somebody wants to buy the thing. It's game over. I had another guy had to sleep on the couch for 2 nights because his wife was ticked off at him because he chose the painter. Okay. He traveled and was out of town. He'd call home every night. She'd scream at him because the painters were idiots. Okay. His name was Scott. I said, Scott, what's the, wave a magic wand here, man. What's the greatest experience in the world look like? He goes, you want to know the greatest experience? I said, yeah. He says, my wife doesn't have to spend time cleaning up after a bunch of grown men every day. That was the motive of who they were choosing. And again, I sold that project way above what everyone else was charging because I tapped into his motive.
Tom, this is great. I'm going to try to summarize our conversation in 3 actionable items here. Number 1 is do some sort of personal me activity every day. Take care of yourself. If me crumbles, the whole organization will crumble.
Can I add on to that real quick? I want you guys to picture like you drop a rock in the lake. Where the rock hits, that's a strong you. The next ripple out is a strong home, and then the next ripple is a strong business. What I've learned, and a lot of us have it flipped, we put the business first, all in the name of providing for the people that we love, but we're giving them our scraps. What I found is when who I am and what's going on at home, when I walk out the door and go to build my business and my empire, my career, I bring that with me, and it affects everything I do. And when I dialed that in and switched it around, everything was better personally and professionally because I had the right order.
I love that. Number 2 is put your eyes on your goals every day. Doesn't matter what your goals are, but put your eyes on your goals every single day. And number 3 is your salary and the money you pull out of the business are 2 different things. Your salary is what you would pay someone else to do your job. Your draw is your reward for running an efficient and profitable business.
You ever have, maybe not you, but I have. You have on paper, you made a couple $100,000 on the P&L.
There's no money.
And then you look at the bank account and you go, how come I don't have that profit? One of the reasons, possibilities, is you're undervaluing what you're worth to the business, not paying yourself enough on a salary, which causes you to have to take distributions, which drains the money, and you never have any profit to stay in the business to help you grow the business. So that's why that's important.
100%.
Yeah.
Tom, this is great. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate you having me.
How do people find out more about you?
Head to thecontractorfight.com and check out what we got going there. Anywhere on social, you can go to Instagram at @RealTomReber, and I'd love to connect with you.
Great. Well, keep making a difference. The people you're teaching, your business, you're having a really strong impact on the community and the marketplace. So keep it up. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for listening. I hope you heard something today that will make your business more profitable and more efficient and more enjoyable for yourself. I'm your host, Adam Sylvester. You can find me at adamsylvester.com. Your team and your clients deserve your very best, so go give it to them.